across the media. That is what you saw across the media. I'm going to start with some students confronting Chelsea Clinton. So Chelsea Clinton made the mistake, this terrible, terrible mistake. What was her terrible mistake? Chelsea Clinton said that Ilhan Omar had been anti-Semitic. Ilhan Omar is the Muslim congresswoman from Minnesota who is an anti-Semite. She has 3 times in the last 2 months humiliated herself with open anti-Semitism. And the last time, she did it so obviously and so clearly that the Democratic Party was on the verge of condemning her. And then the radicals in the Democratic Party stood up and they said, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to condemn her. We'll take her name out of the resolution, and then we'll turn it into a resolution condemning every bad thing on planet Earth, including Islamophobia. So Chelsea Clinton was one of the people who called out Ilhan Omar for using anti-Semitic language. Well, students confronted Chelsea Clinton, and they are blaming Chelsea Clinton. These students, they are blaming Chelsea Clinton for the shooting in Christchurch. Okay, this is how radical the radical fringe of the left is. Chelsea Clinton is somehow to blame for a white supremacist shooting up a church in Christchurch because she called out anti-Semitism from Ilhan Omar. This went viral over the weekend. Students confronting Chelsea Clinton.
After all that you have done and all this Islamophobia that you've sowed.
I'm so sorry. Well, certainly it was never my intention. I do believe words matter. I believe we have to show
They do matter. And this right here is the result of a massacre stoked by people like you and the words that you put out into the world. And I want you to know that, and I want you to feel that deep inside. The 49 people died because of the rhetoric that you put out there.
You can hear people snapping in the background.
What does "I'm sorry you feel that way" mean? What does that mean?
What is she supposed to apologize for? She's supposed to apologize because she called out Ilhan Omar for being anti-Semitic. So if you call out a Muslim for being anti-Semitic, then you're responsible for the murder of other unrelated Muslims who are not being anti-Semitic in Christchurch. Okay, and then these two people, the people who are going after Chelsea Clinton, for goodness sake. I mean, how radical is the left? They're making me defend Chelsea Clinton now. Okay, this is unbelievable. These two people were given a platform in BuzzFeed News, a platform to explain why they called out Chelsea Clinton for the shooting in Christchurch. BuzzFeed News posted a piece by these two radicals, whose names are Lynn Dweek and Rose Asaf. And it says, why we confronted Chelsea Clinton at the Christchurch vigil. Here's why. Yesterday, we posted a video of Leanne confronting Chelsea Clinton at a vigil for the victims of the white supremacist New Zealand mosque massacre. Today, we woke up with over 100,000 people talking about it on Twitter. Needless to say, this is not what we expected. Well, it sort of was. We went to the vigil for one reason, to grieve the loss of innocent lives that were stolen from this world by vile hatred. We wanted to join our friends and colleagues in a time of heartbreak and agony to remember the 49 Muslims who were murdered for being Muslim. We did a double take when we first noticed Chelsea Clinton was at the vigil. Just weeks before this tragedy, we bore witness to a bigoted anti-Muslim mob coming after Representative Ilhan Omar for speaking the truth about the massive influence of the Israel lobby in this country. We believe Ilhan Omar did nothing wrong except challenge the status quo, but the way many people chose to criticize Omar made her vulnerable to anti-Muslim hatred and death threats. We were shocked when Clinton arrived at the vigil, given that she had not yet apologized to Representative Omar for the public vilification against her. So Ilhan Omar was a wounded innocent in all this. Chelsea Clinton was the offender, and because Chelsea Clinton called out Ilhan Omar for being an anti-Semite, this supposedly led a white supremacist to murder people in halfway around the world in New Zealand. Many have said it was unfair to connect Chelsea's words to the massacre in Christchurch, these two dolts write. To them, we say that anti-Muslim bigotry must be addressed wherever it exists. That includes Chelsea Clinton. Okay, a couple of quick notes about the two people who were just given space in BuzzFeed to harass Chelsea Clinton some more. Okay, it turns out that both of these people are deeply radical in every possible way. And they got their defenders, of course, from the radical left and their friends, the folks over at The Intercept and such. So a couple of things. Dweek tweeted out, quote, you're only interested in demolishing Israel, not in finding a solution. Demolishing Israel is a solution. So the same people who are calling out Chelsea Clinton for supposedly being anti-Islam, for calling out Ilhan Omar, are themselves deeply anti-Semitic to the point where they are calling for the full demolition of Israel. The full demolition of Israel. It's unbelievable. Okay, and the other woman who wrote this repeatedly used the term, the F word, for gay people in the United States. But those people were given a platform by BuzzFeed News. It's just wonderful. And this sort of dishonesty was endemic in the media. Endemic. Okay, Linda Sarsour did the same thing. Linda Sarsour, radical anti-Semite, and, by the way, friend to terrorists, right? Legitimately has stood with terrorist Razmia Odeh on stage and hugged her and all the rest. Linda Sarsour tweeted out, "I am triggered by those who piled on Representative Ilhan Omar and incited a hate mob against her until she got assassination threats, now giving condolences to our community. What we need you to do is reflect on how you contribute to Islamophobia and stop doing that." So you see how this works? The idea now is that if you criticized Ilhan Omar for being an anti-Semite, somehow you're responsible for the massacre in Christchurch. That is the most extreme wing of this push. But that is not the leading edge of the push. That is not the mainstream of the push. The mainstream of the push is that anybody who has criticized radical Islam in any way is somehow responsible for what happened in Christchurch. I'll get to that.
After all that you have done and all this Islamophobia that you have sowed.
I'm so sorry. Well, certainly it was never my intention. I do believe words matter. I believe we have to show
They do matter. And this right here is the result of a massacre stoked by people like you and the words that you put out into the world. And I want you to know that, and I want you to feel that deep inside. The 49 people died because of the rhetoric that you put out there.
I'm so sorry.
I don't think...
What does "I'm sorry you feel that way" mean? What does that mean?
After all that you have done and all this Islamophobia that you have sowed.
I'm so sorry. Well, certainly it was never my intention. I do believe words matter. I believe we have to show
They do matter. And this right here is the result of a massacre stoked by people like you and the words that you put out into the world. And I want you to know that, and I want you to feel that deep inside. The 49 people died because of the rhetoric that you put out there.
I'm so sorry.
I don't think...
What does "I'm sorry you feel that way" mean? What does that mean?
After all that you have done and all this Islamophobia that you have sowed.
I'm so sorry. Well, certainly it was never my intention. I do believe words matter. I believe we have to show
They do matter. And this right here is the result of a massacre stoked by people like you and the words that you put out into the world. And I want you to know that, and I want you to feel that deep inside. The 49 people died because of the rhetoric that you put out there.
I'm so sorry.
I don't think...
What does "I'm sorry you feel that way" mean? What does that mean?
After all that you have done and all this Islamophobia that you have sowed.
I'm so sorry. Well, certainly it was never my intention. I do believe words matter. I believe we have to show
They do matter. And this right here is the result of a massacre stoked by people like you and the words that you put out into the world. And I want you to know that, and I want you to feel that deep inside. The 49 people died because of the rhetoric that you put out there.
I'm so sorry.
I don't think...
What does "I'm sorry you feel that way" mean? What does that mean?
Why do you think people in your own party reacted so strongly against what she said?
I know this would be somewhat shocking for some, but I think Islamophobia is very much among the Democratic Party as well as the Republican Party.
Rashida Tlaib doubling down on her support for fellow Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, blaming the rebuke of her anti-Semitic remarks on Islamophobia.
Harvard Law professor Alan Dershowitz is the author of The Case Against Impeaching Donald Trump. He joins us right now from Miami. Professor, what do you make of her comments regarding your party? Your party has the same problem the Republicans have.
Well, they come up with a new tactic. When you accuse somebody, even truthfully, of making anti-Semitic statements, the very accusation, whether truthful or not, is called Islamophobic. So it provides a complete defense, no matter who made the accusation, whether it's whether it's Chelsea Clinton, who called out Omar for her anti-Semitic statements, and she's attacked at NYU for contributing to the tragedy in New Zealand, or President Trump, who's also accused of causing the tragedy in New Zealand. It's a new justification for anti-Semitism. You can't call anybody out for making anti-Semitic statements, because if you do, you're guilty of bigotry. You're Islamophobic.
So Chelsea Clinton, who lives in Manhattan, was around NYU, and here's the incident that you're referring to, that not only are you defending her, but Don Jr. was defending her over the weekend. Listen.
This right here is is the result of a massacre stoked by people like you and the words that you will put out into the world. And I want you to know that, and I want you to feel that deep inside. 49 people died because of the rhetoric that you put out there.
49 people died because of the rhetoric that Chelsea Clinton put out there? Are you kidding?
Well, it's amazing because Omar claims that the rest of us in the world are trying to stifle dissent, that all she wants to do is encourage dissent. She's trying to stifle dissent. But yet, people who in support of her are saying, no, 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 you cannot call out anti-Semitism. That's not appropriate speech. Because if you do identify anti-Semitic statements and condemn them, as everybody in the world should, you're guilty of bigotry and Islamophobia. It's designed to prevent people from calling out Farrakhan, from calling out Omar, from calling out anybody else who's made anti-Semitic statements. You cannot do that anymore, because if you do, you and Chelsea Clinton will be blamed for every anti-Muslim fanatic statement or act that's done anywhere in the world. It's designed to stifle debate, and everybody should recognize that. We should have the complete and full freedom to call out anti-Semitism or any other bigotry wherever it occurs without being worried that you'll be called a bigot if you do it.
That's right, Alan. And she was also bullied into apologizing, which she did, which I felt she shouldn't have had to. Anyone should be able to call out anti-Semitism and not have to apologize for that. Thank you so much for being here, Alan.
I agree.